Daniel watched as the muddy footprint stopped only a few feet in front of him. No child. No shadow. Only silence. His flashlight suddenly flickered, revealing an old steel maintenance door hidden behind peeling wallpaper. Inside was a forgotten security office. Dust covered every surface. Several old monitors still glowed with black and white camera footage of the same hallway. On the desk were dozens of files marked missing person. Every report described the same thing. An elevator, midnight. A floor that didn't exist. Daniel's hands began shaking when he opened the newest file. It already had his name on it. Daniel Carter. Below it, one sentence reads status, never returned. His heart raced. That's impossible. Then one of the security monitors changed. It showed the elevator. Inside stood another Daniel. He smiled directly into the camera, then slowly pointed. Behind him. Daniel turned. The office door was opening by itself. A long shadow stretched across the floor. A whisper echoed through the room. You found your file. Now find your place. The lights went out. Daniel ran into the hallway. Every corridor looked exactly the same. No matter which direction he chose, he always returned to the same grandfather clock, frozen at midnight. Sitting beneath it was an elderly security guard. I've been waiting for you, the old man said. He explained that this wasn't the 13th floor. It was a place trapped between worlds. Anyone who stepped out of the elevator at midnight became part of it. I came here 40 years ago, the guard whispered. I never truly left. Suddenly, the lights failed again. A deep vibration shook the hallway. The old guard grabbed Daniel's arm. Don't look behind you. Daniel felt warm breath against his neck. A calm voice whispered, I've finally found you. Fear took over. Daniel turned around. A towering shadow with no face and an impossibly wide smile stood only a few feet away. Then an elevator bell echoed through the hallway. Ding. The guard shouted, Run. Daniel sprinted into the elevator as the shadow silently followed. The doors closed. The cabin shook violently. Moments later, the doors opened into the office lobby. Everything looked normal. Police searched the building. There was no 13th floor. Security footage showed something impossible. The elevator had never stopped. Daniel had simply stood inside for 14 minutes, smiling at the corner, talking to someone the cameras couldn't see. Months later, Daniel moved to another city. He avoided elevators whenever possible. One rainy night, he finally used one. The lights flickered. The elevator stopped. The display showed only one word, welcome. The doors opened. The same hallway waited outside. The same grandfather clock. The same smiling shadow. A whisper drifted into the elevator. You escaped the building. But you never escaped us. The doors slowly began closing. Daniel never told anyone what he saw that night. But from that day on, every elevator he entered stopped for a few seconds on a floor that didn't exist. And every time the doors opened, someone was waiting in the darkness. If an elevator ever stops on a floor that isn't on the directory, don't step out. Some doors aren't opening to a floor. They are opening to something that's been waiting for you. Curiosity has a strange way of overpowering fear. Even when every instinct tells you to turn around, something inside you whispers, just one more step. For Daniel, that one step would become the biggest mistake of his life. The moment Daniel's shoes touched the carpet, the air changed. It wasn't colder anymore. It felt heavier, like every breath required more effort than the last. He turned around immediately, reaching for the elevator before the doors could shut. But he was too late. The doors slid together without a sound. The glowing floor indicator disappeared. And just like that, the elevator was gone. Not moving, not descending, gone. In its place was a smooth concrete wall, as if an elevator had never existed there at all. Daniel stood frozen. His pulse thundered in his ears. No. No, this isn't possible. He ran to the wall and pressed both hands against it. Solid, cold. No outline, no seams, nothing. He pounded his fists against the concrete. Hello? Is anyone there? His voice echoed down the endless hallway, then vanished. No reply. Not even an echo returned. It was as if the building itself had swallowed the sound. Daniel pulled out his phone. No signal. Not even an emergency network. The battery, which had been nearly full only minutes ago now, showed only 13%. He frowned. That made no sense. He had charged it before leaving work. Trying to calm himself, he switched on the flashlight. The beam stretched down the corridor, revealing rows of identical apartment doors. Each door was painted dark red. Each had polished brass numbers. But the numbers weren't apartment numbers. They read like dates: 1989, 1997, 2008, 2016. Daniel stared at them, confused. Dates, not room numbers. As he continued walking, he noticed framed family photographs hanging between the doors. At first glance, they looked ordinary. Parents smiling, children laughing, birthday parties, wedding portraits. But something about them felt wrong. He stepped closer. Every face had been scratched away, not torn, not burned. Carefully scratched until nothing remained except blank outlines. A chill crawled up his spine. Someone had taken the time to erase every face without damaging anything else. Then tick. Daniel froze. He looked toward the sound. An antique grandfather clock stood against the wall. Its pendulum moved once, tick again, silence. He checked his wristwatch. Exactly 12 o'clock a.m. The grandfather clock stopped. He looked farther down the hallway. Another clock, also frozen at midnight. Then another. And another. Every clock he could see displayed exactly the same time. None of them moved, as though time itself had ended the moment he arrived. Trying to ignore the growing panic, Daniel walked deeper into the corridor. The carpet muffled every footstep. Even his own breathing sounded distant. Then a soft laugh. A little girl. Somewhere ahead. One small giggle. Then silence. Daniel stopped. Hello. Nothing. He followed the direction of the sound. The hallway seemed longer now. Far longer than it should have been. He had been walking for several minutes, yet the corridor never ended. Every turn led to another identical hallway. Every painting looked familiar. Every door looked the same. Then he noticed something impossible. A small leather briefcase sat beside one of the doors. It looked familiar. Very familiar. Daniel slowly knelt beside it. His heart skipped a beat. It was his. The same scratch on the handle. The same company logo. The same broken zipper. But he was still carrying his own briefcase over his shoulder. With trembling hands, he looked up. The door beside it stood slightly open. A thin strip of darkness waited beyond. From inside, he heard someone breathing, slow, calm, patient. Then a voice. His own voice, softly speaking from the darkness. "Don't come in." Daniel stumbled backward. "No." His breathing became frantic. "This isn't real." He turned to run. But before he could take another step, a woman appeared at the far end of the hallway. She hadn't walked into view. She was simply there, standing perfectly still beneath one of the flickering lights. She wore an old gray uniform, like a hotel receptionist from decades ago. Her long black hair covered most of her face. One pale hand rested against the wall. The other pointed directly at Daniel. When she finally spoke, her voice barely rose above a whisper. "You're not supposed to be here, not yet." Daniel couldn't move. The woman slowly lifted her head. For the first time, he saw her eyes. There were none. Only empty darkness. Then every light in the hallway went out at once. Complete darkness swallowed everything. And somewhere in that endless blackness, something whispered directly beside Daniel's ear. "Don't let it know you're afraid."